pointer. So as I speak, you can shift the
Yeah.
pointers, and then yeah, just like that. Yeah. So let us start. So the thing is that in this talk we will talk about, as I said, about the selection process and how you can make an application that is a good application from the perspective of a faculty who is trying to choose a student, a PhD student, right? So first thing first, I want to discuss the difference between MRes and PhD, because in UK there is a degree called MRes, and MRes varies between universities to universities. MRes stands for Masters in Research, and some of the universities they have compulsory MRes before their PhD, and it is a separate degree, and you have to first do MRes and then you can do PhD. In other universities, you have to apply for your PhD, and when you get selected, you have to do a 1 year MRes that is embedded within PhD program. Okay, so when you are making an application, first thing is to see that whether they have MRes or not. Second is, if it is separate from PhD, you should directly apply for PhD, or you can only apply for MRes. So this is something that you need to be very careful of. Go to the next point. Second thing is that after this brief introduction about PhD and MRes, this is my presentation plan. That first I will discuss about the documents required. And I think this is one of the most important part of the PhD application, is that the thing that you do before sending your first email to the potential supervisor. So in my opinion, this is something that needs most of the effort. And if you do the things that are prerequisites very well, then in my opinion, a student who has given around a month in preparing all the documents well, or 2 months, then it is highly likely that he will get, or she will get, I mean, 90% of the universities will send you offer letter. Yeah, it is very common in UK that most of the universities send you offer letter, but it will be difficult and challenging to get a fellowship. So I will come to that. So after discussing about documents, I will talk about steps that are involved. So when your documents are ready, now you are good to make an application, then what are the steps involved in that? And then I'll talk about some of the common mistakes and some of the pro tips that I've got from renowned professors from top universities. Go to the next point. Atif, go to the next slide. Atif, go to the next slide. Are you there?
I think Atif bhai has some connectivity problems.
Oh dear. Just a second. I think I will have to use my Windows laptop if this is the issue. Oh dear. Let me see. Go to the next slide. You are muted.
So I've realized that Windows is as horrible sometimes.
Yeah. Uh, Wait a second. Let me try to share this one more time. Share my screen if I can. No, it doesn't allow me to do that. Wait a second. Screen recording. Recording. Allow applications to record your screen. Yes, I'm allowing them. Screen and recording. Yeah. Chrome is on. Why they're not allowing me to do that? I don't know. Anyway, so now in documents required, the first thing first is your CV, then transcripts and degree certificates, then your research proposal.
Is
I
it
will
clear
talk about
now?
each. Yeah, it is visible. So a statement of purpose, then recommendation letters that you have to get either from 3 professors or 2 professors, then your English language test, GRE, which is optional, I'll come to that, and then letter to fellowship committee. In some cases it will be required, and we will also talk about your writing sample or publication if it is required at all or not. Go to the next slide. So coming to CV, the thing that I want to mention about CV, first thing about CV is format. So many a times what we do is that we copy a standard CV format from our professor's CV, and it is a very bad idea to do that. Why so? Because a professor who is already tenured, is not supposed to mention all the details of his, for example, coursework, master's coursework. By master's coursework, I mean all the courses that you have taken in your master's, all the modules that you have taken. So, but as a PhD applicant, your professor may be interested in seeing what training you have from your master's or maybe MPhil. So this is very important, and there are some of the standard format. I did not follow any format, but later I found that the format that I was following by myself is also what Oxford prescribes. So in Oxford format, what you do is that you mention a little bit details of everything along with a summary of your CV. So summary of CV, what I mean is that you have to write a little bit about yourself in a paragraph, that what you are currently doing, what is your previous training, a very short paragraph. And then you write about the relevant experiences that you have and your education. For example, if you have masters, then you write your masters and some of the details of your masters, right? So suppose you are seriously trained in econometrics and you have taken, like I took 4 courses in econometrics in my master's. So if you have taken 4 courses of econometrics and you mention that I have been trained in econometrics in all my master's semesters, and these are the modules that I have done, these are the things that I have done, then and and your research proposal, say for example, is in empirical economics. So this will give a signal to the professor under whom you are applying that you have been very seriously trained in econometrics. So it is a good idea to do that. Go to the next point.
So that
Then
also kind of
you can
tell us
you can
that,
actually share all the points on the screen, then I will speak one by one, right? So the
okay.
thing is that work experience, what I want to say is that you should try to focus that your work experience is basically research based. Say for example, you are teaching for the last 4 years in some university, but you will have to mention along with your teaching experience that how the teaching of for the last 4 years helped you in deciding your research topic, maybe something like that. Because PhD, what we do in PhD is research and research only. So apart from research, if you are mentioning everything that is not connected to your research, then it won't reflect well. So my suggestion, personal suggestion, is that if whatever you are writing, it should somehow connect towards the research thing. Maybe something that helped you to do research, or maybe something that that actually kind of give you clue of a topic, something like that. For example, if you are doing a master's course, maybe you can say that from master's course of development economics, I got interested in doing research in this topic. So something like that. So you will have to connect your journey, whatever you are doing currently, with the research journey that you are planning to do. So it has to be like that, so it will look very organic, and it has to be like that only. You don't have to fake it, but you will have to search it within you, that why you want to do PhD and what it is that is inducing you. And if you reflect it in your CV in some sense, that I am doing this RA job because of this RA job, or because of these details of the projects that you have, that you will mention, and because of the work that you have done for the last 4 years or 3 years or 2 years, whatever work experience you have, you are getting interested in doing PhD, and this is why you are applying. So this will be a good reflection, right? And by details of project, I mean that suppose you are doing work as an RA under some professor, and from that RA-ship project, a paper comes out. You are not an author of that paper. It may be possible that you are working as an RA, but you are not in the authorship thing. So what you have to do is that you should mention, asking from your project manager, that this paper came out of the project in which I assisted you. So can I just mention in my CV that I helped my in my project, I helped my project manager and this paper came out of it. So if your project manager allows, then it is a good thing. You should write it in your CV, and get a write up from your project manager as well, that this boy or this girl or this chap helped me in this project and this paper came out of it. So it will reflect your academic ability to do research, right? Maybe you may have some paper published or unpublished. You need not have a paper in top journals like JDE or other papers. You can have any in any journal, but if you have good, this is nice. If you just have a draft, maybe or something that you are presenting here and there, you can also add that, because it reflects that you are doing something in research and you are interested and you are a little bit active in research. Even if you are not active in research, you are teaching for the last, say for example, 2 years, but that is inducing you to get active in research, good enough, no problem. Also, you can add software skills. For example, what do I mean by software? There are two types of software. One is that directly help you in research, like you are very much in trained in Stata or R, or you do all your research analysis in Python. You are trained in that. You should mention it along with the certifications that you have. Or there are other softwares as well that you can mention. For example, if you are very good at LaTeX, or you do all your presentations in Beamer, you can say that in the skills you can write that I'm trained in these softwares that are used by researchers around the world. So this is a good thing, but this is just an addition, the other softwares, because the prime thing I will focus again and again in this talk is research and why you are interested in doing research in economics. So everything that you are writing in your CV somehow relate to that, and this is a good idea. If it is not relating to that, it should relate to that indirectly somehow, maybe. Even if not that, then you can say that maybe you joined a bank and then you found that this is not your cup of tea and research is your cup of tea, something like that. So, and then if you have some volunteer certificates, like you are active in organizing seminar, you should mention that. But this is an important point, that you should not mention too many volunteer things. Why I'm saying so is, suppose you are a professor and I'm applying under you, and in my CV it is written that I organize seminar every week. So you need a solid trained researcher, or someone who has potential to be a very serious researcher, because in PhD you need to work for 4 years in your research. And if I'm that much involved in other things, then it may reflect that you may not be a serious researcher. So it is not a bad thing to do. There are many people in here, like I go for a walk every week with all my friends, and I'm involved in like hiking and many other things in many clubs in the university. But when you are making an application, your potential supervisor does not know anything about you, and you are saying him about you from your application and your write up. So the most important things that you should mention is that is related to your PhD journey that you are ready to take, and how you are ready to take that, how much trained you are for that. So this is what I want to say. Like debates, sports, these are good things. You should mention. Some of the universities even have a sports quota, but you should always be careful that your CV should reflect that you are a serious researcher, or you are a potential serious researcher. Okay, go to the next slide. Then after that, I will talk about steps involved. And in steps involved, I will talk about some of these steps. First thing first is like the thing that I mentioned is document preparation, in which first thing is CV, and after your CV is your research proposal. This is one of the most important document of your PhD application, research proposal. Why so? Because research proposal is the thing that you will do for the next 4 years in your PhD. So if this is from Ali Abdal, my favorite YouTuber, that if you can spend 1 more hour, or maybe 10 more hours, or 20 more hours, whatever work, extra work you can do, and it increases your probability of getting selected by 10%, then why not do that? So this is my first suggestion in research proposal. Try to make it as good as possible. Why so? Because if your extra effort, maybe you are working 10 hours a day on weekend to enhance the quality of your research proposal for 2 weekends, and then the chance of you getting selected increases from 30% to 50%, then why not do that? So this is first thing, that you should try to put extra effort in your research proposal, because this is what you will do for the next 4 years, and your supervisor will see it as something that is the most important part of your PhD. In that, it can be the most important document, but not always. Why so? Because in the universities where you are applying for MRes, and you are not applying directly for PhD, in those universities you will do coursework for 2 years maybe, and in those 2 years you will be supposed to make a more professional research proposal. So in those universities, even if your research proposal is a little bit loose, it will work. But it, what I mean by little bit loose is not from your end, but give your full capacity, and even after that if it is a little bit loose, then it is okay. Why this is so? Because when you will do MRes for 2 years, you are supposed to do a master's course. When you are supposed to do a master's course, in that course, you are not supposed to be trained enough to write a good research proposal. So try your best. And suppose you are a master's student, in that case, you will be told to apply for MRes. And if you are applying for MRes as a master's student or first year master's student, maybe at that stage you are not supposed to write that right research papers, you are not expected actually. But is it so that you should write a loose from your end? No, from your end you should give your best in research proposal. This is the most important thing. And you don't have to do a PhD to write a good research proposal. This is another trap that I know people who are working on their research proposal for the last 6 months and they're saying I'm improving, I'm improving. No, you should not do that. It is better that you try to do it in 2 months. In my that is my standard time that I suggest people to do, not something that takes you like 1 year. That is first year of your PhD. So don't do that. Take some time, but don't take so much time that it kind of goes in negative. Don't do that. And improve after feedback. Many a times what will happen is that when you email a professor, he will say you that, okay, send me your research proposal. You will send him your research, he will say that, okay, good to go, apply. But then what you can do is that before doing formal application, you should say that if in this research proposal you find that there is anything that I can improve, kindly suggest me. And I have done that. Three professors suggested me that these are the improvements you can do, and you improve, and then email back to them within 2 3 days after doing the improvement that this is the new enhanced version. Is this a good version? And then they will say you that, yeah, this is, I appreciate that you have worked on it. And when you do this, then they will get a reflection that you are someone who is ready actually to embark the journey, because you are always improving yourself and you are doing what they are saying you to do. So these are the good signals that you can give. And one thing that is the final kind of, if you are unsure that if your research proposal is ready or not, the final thing is to ask yourself that are you ready for 1 hour interview in front of the specialized in the disciplines. So it will not only be your potential supervisor, it will be a team of professors asking you questions around your research proposal. And if you are in a situation where you feel that no, you know about the discipline, not a problem. You can answer some of the questions. You know what people are doing in the discipline. You know the papers. You know top papers. You know some of the ideas that are your original ideas. Then you are good to go. Very good. Even if you don't have original ideas, you have some of the ideas in which people have worked, but maybe there are no works in India, or maybe you think that the work that people have done is having some problem in it. So these are the good signals that you give to your professor, potential supervisor. Go to the next slide. After research proposal, I will have to look what I have. Can you please go to the next slide? You just have to click the next button and it will automatically go to the next slide, or downward button, something like that. The next thing that is after research. Atif, can you go to the next slide? And I'm so sorry to the viewers, because mm, this is all about the security feature, because they are not allowing to record the screen. So, and I cannot help it. Yeah. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah, in research proposal, one thing also I want to mention is the word limit. That is, many universities have their own format. In that also you can follow Oxford format, and other universities also have their own format that you can follow. So that is that. Apart from that, then it comes your statement of purpose. In a statement of purpose, it is neither your CV nor your research proposal. What I mean by that is, if you, in your statement of purpose, if you write all your training, that I have been trained in this and this, that is there in your CV. In your statement of purpose, if you write too much detail about your research proposal, it is there in your research proposal. So it, restatement of purpose should be a balance of your previous training and the topic in which you are interested to do research. And the main purpose of a statement of purpose is that you should think of it as a one-sided conversation between you and the selection committee. This is the purpose of the document. Why so? Because as a potential supervisor, suppose you are a potential supervisor and you are having CV and a research proposal of a student, you will like to know that why this student wants to work in this area and other things that you cannot explain in details in your CV. So for to kind of fill that gap, you have research proposal. So if you are writing a research proposal, think of it like, if I give you 5 minutes to say that why you are suitable for this PhD program, what you will say. Why you want to work in this area, what you will say. You should write those things in your research proposal. So in my opinion, a standard research proposal should be like, you start with, I am this person and currently I am doing this. I'm interested in doing PhD in this topic. Why I am interested in doing PhD in this topic. Why you are applying under that particular professor. Why you think that it is a good match. And then what is your previous training? Why you think that you are trained enough to do PhD in that topic? What are your skill sets? Right? And then you can also write some of the expectations. And for this, you should search the university website. In university website, they mention that why this particular topic is why what is the speciality about their economics department. So some of the economics department are very much specialized in econometrics. Some of the departments are not that much specialized in econometrics. So if you are applying at a university where their department is known for theoretical research and you are applying in theoretical research, you should mention that I'm applying at your department because the department is known for this, and I think that I will be trained in a very good manner and I will be in very good hands for the next 4 years. So this is the approach. And if suppose you are working in health economics, there are two universities. In one, there are 4 or 5 professors working in health. In another university, there is only one person working in health. So if you are applying at a place where more people are there, your chances will increase because this is what their department is known for, right? So this also, this there should be a small paragraph on this in your statement of purpose. Apart from that, what is important for a statement of purpose is that you need not be a great researcher. Rather, you have to reflect that you are a good potential PhD student. If you reflect that you are a good potential PhD student, your supervisor is not looking for a publication that you already have in Econometric or American Economic Journal. No, what they are looking for is that if you are serious enough and interested enough in research and what all you know about the research topic, and if you have enough skill set or not. If you reflect from your documents, these three documents, CV, research proposal, and your statement of purpose, that no, you are trained enough, you have the skill sets that is required, and you are sincere, then in most cases you will get your offer letter. Like in UK, you get offer letters from almost all the universities where you apply. The difficult part will be fellowship. Go to the next slide. The next thing in document after a statement of purpose is recommendation letter. So in recommendation letter, what I suggest people to do is to take recommendation from those professors who can recommend you credibly. What do I mean by recommending credibly is, suppose you are getting recommendation letter from one of the top notch professor, but the professor is working with you only for the last 2 months, then it won't be a very credible offer letter, a credible recommendation letter. By credibility, I mean that the professor should say that this chap is working under me for the last 1 year, or maybe I have taught him in masters and undergrad, and in all the courses I have found him doing good. So it has to be credible that if what is the relationship between you and your referee. This has to be very clear, right? So this is thing. And sometimes when you go to your referee, they say that, okay, come with me with a draft. You should not write your own draft. There are reasons for that. First thing is that you are the person who has written CV, a statement of purpose, research proposal, and you are writing your recommendation letter as well. The admission committee is smart enough to know that this is the same person who has written all four documents. So you should not write your own recommendation letter. If your professor is saying you to write a draft, say that, sir, I request you to take more time, but kindly do it for me. If he is saying that, no, you will have to come up with it, if at all you have to write your own recommendation letter, then try to write it from the perspective of the person who is referring you, from the perspective of your professor or the perspective of your project manager, and try to write only those points that is relevant from that perspective. Don't write many things from CV and other things. Rather write more about the experience that your person is maybe having with you. For example, I worked with a professor who said me to write a recommendation letter myself. So I said, sir, kindly, I request you to do that. So he agreed with me. So I didn't have to write it. But in most cases, if it is happening, then I was having a sample ready. And that sample was that I am working under him. So he's saying that Raza is working under me for the last 5 months. And I'm finding that he is very serious in research. And why he is serious in research, one, two lines for that. And then I am finding that he is very good at stati skills, and he is good at running econometric models, and currently we are doing a working paper, and I'm finding that he is very serious about publishing that working paper in some good journal, something like this. So it has to be like, why that, from the eyes of that professor, you are a good student or you are a good researcher, what are the research skills that you have, and say them to focus on research skills more. And if you don't have any research experience, maybe you are a master's student and there is no master's dissertation in your university, then it should be like you have been one of the good thinking mind in your class, not the marks that you have get. Many a times you get very good marks, but you are not a thinker. So if your supervisor or professor is writing that, I find that this student always asks very good thinking questions in class, and I find that to answer his questions, some of the times I feel that I have to read books, because he is very deep into intuition, economics intuition, and I think he has got a good economics thinking mind. You may not, maybe your professor will not write it, but one of the professors wrote it for me, and I got to know that he wrote it for me. So it depends on you and the relationship between you and your referee and things like that. Kindly go to the next slide. I apologize to everyone because the slides are not working in my computer, and the mess is happening. But still, I think that the points that I'm mentioning may help potential PhD students in doing their applications. Then there is letter to fellowship committee that you have to write. Now letter to fellowship committee is different from all the documents, because in here you don't have to mention many things and deep things about research. Rather, the most important part in here will be why your research is applicable for society and good for society, what good it will do for the society in general. And it may not be the case actually. So if you are working as a PhD student, you won't be able to, in most cases you won't be able to solve major problems in the society. PhD is not to solve the problems of the society. PhD is a training to do research to solve the problems of the society in future using your disciplinary knowledge, right? So what, how you should write letter to the fellowship committee, it is something that you should think about. Suppose you are working in a topic in which the choice making of students are to be researched. So you should mention that after doing this research, how your research output may help the decision makers, something like that. I'm working on a skill mismatch in labor market, so I say that after doing my research, I think that my PhD will be able to inform policymakers to kind of bridge the gap between skills that required in the labor market and the skills that graduates possess. something like that. How your research is useful for the society. This is very important. And why you should be funded for that research. Maybe you are working on a topic in which many other people can work. Why you are special, why your skill set is more important for that particular research. So for fellowship committee, you have to think from the perspective of fellowship committee. And many a times the first person who will read your fellowship letter may not be a person trained in economics. I'm not sure about it, I'm saying it clear, but it may be the case that the person who is recommending you, or who is the first person reading your fellowship letter, is not trained in economics. He is the person who is responsible for managing the fellowship. So and then he will send it to someone else. So you should be addressing different people, like manager of the fellowship committee, or maybe someone who is little bit trained in economics and managing, so things like that. These are the things that are important actually. Go to the next slide. After the letter to fellowship committee, there are steps that I will discuss. First thing is your document preparation, that I have discussed all the documents. Many a times GRE is not required. In some cases it is required, like University of Manchester, it mentions that there is a requirement for GRE. I emailed them that here is my CV, here is my training, I have done these many mathematical economics courses, these many statistics courses, these many econometrics courses in all my modules, in all my semesters. Can you please waive GRE for me? And they replied back saying that your GRE has been waived, and yes, you can apply without GRE. Good news, I got rejected. But still, even if I got rejected, the thing is they waived my GRE. So maybe in some cases they will waive your GRE and not accept you. In some cases there is no GRE requirement at all. In those cases you are very safe. In the cases where they are waiving your GRE, it may be possible that you are not getting rejected because of GRE, but GRE is one factor of you getting rejected. So you should see that whether how serious they are about GRE. In some of the pages, you will find that GRE in bracket optional. In those cases, you can go without GRE. But if you have GRE, it will be a very good thing. It will be a very positive point. It will show that you have quantitative and analytical skills. But if you don't have GRE, but other things in your CV is amazing, your research proposal is matching with your supervisor, you will get accepted. So from my experience, I can say that 3 4 universities I got offer letter, and I don't have a GRE. I never gave GRE, I never prepared for GRE, and I always thought that GRE is not my cup of tea. It needs preparation and I don't have time for that. So I didn't give GRE. But because of that I couldn't apply at London School of Economics, because for them GRE is compulsory. So if you are applying for universities that are top notch in USA, UK, top 5 universities, then you should give GRE. But if you are looking for universities from rank 5 to rank 15, then GRE is not that important. So it depends on your ambition, where you want to apply, things like that. Now, another thing is formal email. So after your document preparation, GRE, everything, whatever you have, whatever you don't have, then you have prepared your document, then you search for your potential supervisor, that your documents are ready. Now you are ready to apply. So how you should search for a supervisor and how you should search for a university. This is a very important point. I will discuss in details in the next slide about this. Then comes email, that now you have selected 15 professors to whom you want to send an email. How to write that email? It is really important, because a supervisor gets email from 100 people. Maybe he's teaching a batch this semester that is having 80 students in it, and he is getting one email per day from one of the students asking some question. He is getting emails from his collaborators, she is getting email from her maybe journal where she submitted her paper, she is getting email from administrative team, she is getting email from people all over the world who are looking to collaborate in research with her. She is getting email from many other people. Maybe for a keynote address, she is getting email, and then your email goes that I want to do PhD under your supervision. Is this something very important for that professor? Yes, it is. Because it is part of their job to supervise PhD students, and they actively look for good PhD students. But is it something for which is concerned on daily basis? I don't think so. So email is very important. I will discuss in details about it. After you send the email, if it is a good exchange of email, your professor says you to apply, then you can formally apply. And in here I want to mention that IDP, that holds actually IELTS exam, English language requirement exam in India, they give free assistance. You don't have to pay a single penny to them, and they will assist you to apply. The process of application they will tell you, and if you find any problem in that, they will help you. They haven't paid me anything to say this. I did not get help from them because I did not know about them. But during my visa process, I got to know about them, and they helped me free of cost throughout the visa process, in a way that I was given a space where I could call them if I had any problem. So IDP is very good in free assistance, and you should reach out to them when you are having all the documents ready. It is not that they are a team of economics experts who will suggest you how to write your research proposal. No, they are not team of economists. Rather, they are team of people who are ready to assist students who are trying to apply abroad, and they face some problems in the application process, right? And if they are charging you any money, maybe if there is any money involved, then I won't suggest you to go for them. But in my case, no money was involved, and I know that they don't charge any money. Okay. Now after this will be your interview. After you make your formal application, you will be called for one interview in 90% of the cases. In some cases you may be asked to appear for another interview. I was asked to appear for two interviews, and then will be your outcome of application and fellowship. I will discuss at the end. Kindly go to the next slide. So searching for potential supervisor is the next thing in the slide. How you should search for a potential supervisor. Here are my points. First thing, it has to be an organic process. What do I mean by organic process? And this is from my supervisor at the University of Southampton. He said me on my face that, Raza, I liked your PhD application because you searched about my research and it was a good match. So this was number one factor why I replied to your email. So by organic process, I mean that you don't email any professor. And sometimes we get into the trap that let us see how many Indian professors are there and then email them. No, you should not do that. Maybe there is a professor from your hometown, but he is working in macroeconomics and you are interested in health economics. Is it a good match? No, it is not. So you should not do that. What you should do, you should search that how many professors are there whose papers you have already read during preparing research proposal. So if you are preparing research proposal, and in preparing research proposal, the thing is that you are reading papers from professors everywhere around the world. Maybe you are reading papers, 20 papers you have in the bibliography, and out of that 10 papers are from uk uk professors. So write emails to those professors. Or maybe what you can do is you search top 20 universities in UK. Out of those top 20 universities, search economics staff list. In the economics staff list, search for how many professors are there working in your area. Out of that, search that how many professors are really a good match, seeing their papers. See if they have good papers or not. Maybe he is working at a good university, he himself is she herself is not having good papers, and you want to publish in good papers in your academic career, then it is not a good match, even if he is working in the same area. So I applied, and I emailed a professor in New Zealand. He said me to apply. Then I was like emailing anything. I emailed more than 500 professors throughout the process, but sometimes I used to email without searching much. But then I found that he is not publishing good papers. So he said me to apply, like your CV is good, you should apply. But then I found that he is not publishing at good journals. I want to publish in good journals in future, maybe after 5 years. So I thought that no, I should not apply. Just like that. So you should see it is a good match or not. If you are seeing a professor who is publishing in the best journals around the world, again it will not be a good match. Maybe because now you are not good enough to work under him. So there has to be a balance. Someone who is working in a good university, in a top ranked university, someone who is having good publications, but you are a good fit also. Think of it like this, and then start emailing. Maybe preference of country you have. For example, I never wanted to do my PhD from USA for some reason. Maybe I will in future. I don't know if I will apply for postdoc in USA or not. But for PhD, I was not ready for that. With their PhDs are very rigorous. Like I don't think I can really pass the coursework. I will go and fail the coursework and come back to India. So I didn't apply in USA universities. But you can, if that is your preference, that you want to do your PhD from US only, or you want to do from UK. Your first preference is only and only that you want to do PhD from Barcelona School of Economics. Then you should apply there, or you should search for other universities in Paris, something like that. And rank of the university also matters. For me it was like top 100 US ranking universities. I know I don't belong to the category of top 20 universities or top 5 universities in the world. So something like that, you have to find that what is the level of training you have. Maybe some of the times you judge yourself in a bad way. So if you can apply, you can get selected, but you feel that you are not good enough. So this is another problem. So you have to find yourself where you are, and with proper information. You should have that informed decision that I can apply here, I should not apply there. Not uninformed that I don't think I should apply. No, it has to be informed. Take information from here and there and talk to people, and then decide where you should apply. And the most important thing is a match. It has to be a match. If it is not a good match, even if the professor is maybe your relative, you won't be able to do good PhD under his supervision or her supervision. So it has to be a good match. And in email, the thing that I suggest people is that when you are writing an email, know it that there is a professor who is busy all the time, and he's seeing your email. Just by seeing your subject line, he found that okay, someone is interested in doing PhD under my supervision. So my email subject line used to be uh, query for the supervision for PhD supervision, query for PhD supervision, something like that. So just by email, he will see that okay, someone has emailed me. Let us see who this candidate is. Then what he will do? Maybe he or she will read that my email in 2 minutes. So in those 2 minutes, if I give time to prepare the email draft, and if I give 1 hour to prepare that email draft, and after 1 hour, my chances of getting read and like a good email, chances of writing a good email will increase from 50% to 70%. Should I not give that 1 extra hour? Of course I should. So write that email thinking that a professor who is busy is reading it. And in that, what you should mention in that email, a very brief introduction, then a little bit about your PhD, that why you are interested in this topic, and why, and how you think that you are a good match for that professor. Don't say that I think I'm a good match, because how you think you are a good match from the perspective of that professor. This is important. Like I'm writing, like I want to work in a skill mismatch in labor market. I have read your papers and I find that it is a good match because you have published these papers that I find interesting, and I have used them in my literature review. And these are the papers that really induced me to work in the area. And here are my some of my research questions that I'm interested in related to the topic, which I don't find in the current literature. So this is the literature gap that I want to address. And then a very small paragraph on your previous training, like top highlights. Like I was second rank in my undergrad, second rank in my masters. I have a working paper. I got this much marks in my, I got 8 out of 9 in my master's thesis. Or I'm currently doing this project and I have enough research skills, not enough, like use proper words, like proper vocabulary, and then write that. And then at the end you say that I'm looking forward to hearing from you. If there is any, if there is any PhD supervision if there is any PhD position under your supervision, then I'm looking forward for it. I'm looking forward to it. And then maybe they will reply you that, yeah, this is a good match. We can have a, we can have an interview. You should formally apply, and then if the committee selects you, then I will love to supervise you. Yeah, they do that. And if they write in a positive note, then the next thing you should do is share your research proposal and say that here is my full research proposal I'm attaching. Kindly have a look and suggest me the changes required. And in most cases they will read it and suggest you the changes required. So I still remember last year before Christmas, just one day before the holiday, I emailed to a professor in Scotland and I requested him to kindly see it and give me a review. He said that I, from tomorrow evening I will not be available for the next 1 week. I will read your research proposal and give you comment by tomorrow morning. And you can edit it, make the changes and apply and do the process on your own, because I will be on leave from tomorrow evening. And he emailed me tomorrow morning with the things that were required. I made the changes in the next 3 hours and emailed him back that here is my final version. If you are still there in your office, kindly have a look and suggest me if this is okay. And he was kind enough to look at it again, and he gave me the green signal that yes, you should apply. This is a good thing. I'm very happy that you have done your editing in the next 3 hours, and this shows that you are a very serious researcher or potential very serious potential student. I'm looking forward to you to seeing you in the interview. You should apply, and here is the link where you can apply. So you should do that chat with your professor. Kindly go to the next slide. And then you have interview. When you are applying, you get help from IDP in formal application. Do the formal application. In formal application you don't have to do much. Everything will be mentioned, like your date of birth, all the details, and then upload this, upload that, upload this, upload that, all you do that. And then one thing be very careful about is when you are applying at many places, sometimes you do mistakes. Like for my case, like this is scary, I don't want to think about it again, but I applied at the University of Southampton exactly on the day of deadline, and then I got an email within 2 hours that I have made a big mistake and I have to do another application. And the mistake was, in the PhD session, instead of saying that I'm applying for 24-25, I applied for 23-24 batch. And they said that no, you, the 23-24 batch is already selected, you have to do another application before deadline. And I emailed back them, can you make the change for me? They said no, we cannot. You have to do another application. We cannot change the session for you. We cannot, we are sorry, but you have to do this on your own. And then I had to make another application. And suppose you are busy that day, suppose you have some work, maybe you have some family function, and you don't have time, you do the application and then you make some mistake, and then I would never have been selected. So be very careful about not making a small mistakes, right? And in interview, something that I always say to everyone is, in interview, be the person that you are. You don't have to change anything. Embrace yourself. I am this person, I am XYZ. Maybe I'm Sayed Raza, and I have done my bachelor's and master's from this. These are the papers I have attended. This is my skill set. This is the research area in which I want to work on, and I think I'm a suitable candidate. If you also think I'm a suitable candidate, okay. If you don't think I'm not a suitable candidate to work under your supervision, that is also good. I will apply in some other university under some other professor. Just that. Don't lie, don't give false information, don't over don't do anything that is not you, because in PhD you have to be there for the next 4 years and you have to be yourself. You can't fake yourself for the next 4 years. So my supervisor works in micro theory. He asked me that, are you trained in micro theory? I'm not. I said that, no, I'm not. I'm not trained in micro theory at all. I can't do a simple mathematical or theoretical model in economics. I cannot. And he said that, no problem, you will do empirical. I will hire you under my supervision as a PhD student, and you will do empirical analysis. I will guide you for that. No problem. But you don't have to fake. And if you are ready to learn, you say that I'm ready to learn. Currently I'm not trained in mathematical modeling, but I'm ready to do the theoretical modeling. I'm ready to do the courses of micro theory if that is the requirement. Right? So like 2 days back, I was talking to my supervisor and I suggested an idea for my first chapter of PhD. And he said that it can be a good paper, but you have to do micro theory. I said, I don't know at all. And he said that, yeah, I know you don't know micro theory, but it can be a collaboration, or maybe you will have to learn it. So you have to be that frank. It is not something that you say that, yeah, I know micro theory, I have done some courses, and then they will ask you questions. What is it that you have done in micro theory? And then you are blank, and they are smart enough to know what wrong information you are giving. So don't do that. Be yourself. That is the first thing. Be yourself. If you got bad marks in undergrad, but then you coped up and then you have good marks in your postgrad, say it outright that in undergrad I was not a very serious student. In postgrad, I found that I'm getting interested in economics, and because of my interest and the passion that I have got, these are the reasons because of which I got induced. Maybe this development economics paper, it helped me a lot to find that I really prefer working in economics. I had to find my own preference, and I found that it will be a good match. And from then onwards, I have been working. And from then onwards, I have done these many research projects, or I have worked as RA, or I have got these research skills. They will appreciate your honesty, but be honest. Don't give wrong information at all. Be yourself. If you think that you embody a good researcher within you, say that, yeah, I think I will be a good match. Why you think you are a good match? Because I have these many trainings, and they can ask you many questions around that. If you are yourself, you won't be having to lie. You won't be lying, and you will never be caught as well. But if you are lying, then you will be caught. Even if you get admission, you are not a good match, you will be in trouble. So don't do that at all. And your previous, sometimes they ask you a lot of question, why UK, why this, why that. But in UK PhD application, what I have found is the most important thing is research. If you are good in your research proposal, if you know what you have proposed, amazing, this will go in positive only. Because what you will do for the next 4 years after selection, research. And don't just use words, but explain those things. Suppose you want to do work in maternal mortality and something related to that, maternal mortality and mental health. Suppose you want to do work in that, for example. Or I worked in economics of smoking behavior. Suppose you want to work in economics of smoking behavior, and you have written all sorts of things in your literature review. Then they will ask you that, how do you think maternal mortality and mental health is related? And then you are just saying the things that anybody without any research experience can say, just by your experience. I think these two are related topic, yeah, why not, it is a very general thing. No, say some of the things from literature, that I have found that this paper has shown using the data of this and this country that these two are linked, and they have found that there is a strong linkage between maternal mortality and mental health. Something like that. Your answer should be an academic answer. And then if you have read the literature, if you have good sets of research questions, it will be amazing. Another thing is, from think it from the perspective of a professor who is hiring a student, PhD student, or who is selecting a PhD student. What they think two three things. One is, you have proposed that you want to work in this area. How well you know about this area? This is number one thing they will try to find out. Number two, are you really serious about PhD? Because PhD is a very frustrating process. You have to do research for 4 years. So they want to find out if you are a serious student or not, if you will be a potential good researcher or not. So they will ask questions like why you want to do PhD, things like that. And third thing, whether you have enough skill set for that or not. Suppose you are proposing that you will do this econometric model and you don't know anything about econometrics at all, like you have copied it from somewhere and you don't know it at all, you have copied somewhere else's research proposal and you don't know the things, then it will be a bad thing to do. So, and give them to find out all these 3 points, that you know about your research proposal, you know about the methods that will be involved. For example, you should write some of the economic 2 3 econometric models, and then allow them to ask questions, that why do you think this econometric model is suitable, and then you will be able to kind of reflect your own understanding, and after your answer they will be able to know that yeah, you have read it, you know econometric models, you know how this research will be performed after you get selected. So they will appreciate it, and your chances of selection will increase by many folds, right? So this is about interview. And now comes fellowship. What about fellowship? So one more thing about interview, I'm sorry, and that is, do you have any questions for us? They ask you this at the end. Do you have any questions for us? Yeah, it was a nice interview, nice talking to you, Raza. Do you have any questions for us? And then you say that no, I don't have any question. Okay, no problem if you don't have, but it is good to ask some of the questions from them. Why so? Because it is not only them who are selecting you, you are also selecting that whether you want to work in this university, whether you want to get PhD from that university. So, what questions you should ask is very important, and it will reflect a lot of things. Like, what are the good questions to ask? First thing, what is the PhD timeline in your university? How often you meet your PhD students? Is it so that you give your PhD students only one meeting in 6 months? Then I'm not doing PhD under your supervision. So you should ask this clearly, that how often you meet your PhD student. And then they will say, okay, I meet my PhD student based on needs, but many a times I meet my PhD students maybe in 15 days time. So you will say that, yeah, that's nice, good. And then you can ask that, where you usually PhD students work? Do you have a separate room for PhD researchers where all the researchers sit and work? There is a desk provision, or do they work from their hostel room? What is the research culture? Do you meet your PhD students single, one by one, or you meet with them in a group? Is there any reading group that you have in with your PhD students? Do you publish papers with your PhD student? If suppose I'm working as RA under you, under some of the projects in which you are working, and then will I get authorship or not? Some of these questions you can ask. So these are some of the questions to ask. Yeah. And if you have any other question that you find is relevant and that can reflect that you are asking questions that are around research, then ask those questions. It will show that you are a serious researcher. If you're asking a question, do you have a badminton club in your university? Good to ask. Nice question. But this question should be asked after admission, not before admission. Because if a badminton club will decide, will kind of decide whether you will join a PhD or not, it is a good thing to play badminton. I love playing badminton, and I want to play every day if there is a player playing with me. But it should not be something that you are seriously concerned during your PhD application. I hope that I'm making my point clear, because as a professor, they want to know whether you are a serious researcher or not, because research is the prime thing for which you are applying, and research is the main thing for which they are selecting you. This is important, right? Now, what about fellowship? So there are different fellowships. Now, come, I can't ignore fellowship for long. What about fellowship? So there are different fellowships. There are university based, project based, external fellowship. So for university based fellowship, the competition is maybe between only those students who are applying at economics, and everyone who will get selected will get fellowship. There are only handful of universities in UK that provides fellowship in that category. Most of the departments, economics department, do not have their own funding. No, they don't have. It is unlike USA. In USA, every department is having a funding, almost. But in UK, not every department is having their own funding. In UK, many of the PhDs are funded by project, and it is I don't suggest people to apply for projects only, because for one position there will be people applying from all over the world. So if you are really specialized in that particular area, then you should do that actually, right? So if you are really specialized in the topic of that project, seriously specialized, you think you have all the skill set, then apply for the project. But most of the fellowship in UK comes as external fellowship. I am also on an external fellowship. An external fellowship is something that your university you are doing your PhD from, and your fellowship committee is an external committee that funds your PhD. So for that, there has to be a match between you, your supervisor, and the fellowship committee. So and it happens. It is not something that is very rare. Usually people get fellowship, and in there, what I suggest is, I'm not here to give information that these are the names of fellowship, this is the deadline. You can do chat GPT, you can search information. I will tell you that how to apply, how to approach. So most of the people don't talk about the approach. The thing that are the most important is not just information, because there are people who have all sorts of information about all the fellowship. You do research for 1 month just to know what are the fellowships in UK, what is the type of funding, what is the amount of funding, what is the deadline, every single thing. But will it guarantee that you will get selected? After getting all the information, what you will have to do? You'll have to apply. And to apply, you will have to follow the process. And to follow the process, you will have to reflect that you are a suitable candidate for that fellowship, right? So, saying it very honestly in front of all of you, I don't know all the fellowships in UK. I only know about the fellowship that I have got and one or two more fellowships. Because I was not into collecting information in information. How I got to know about my current fellowship, I never knew about it. My supervisor told me. He was kind enough. I sent him an email and he replied me saying that you should formally apply using this link at the university. And here is the link for fellowship. And here is the deadline for fellowship. And I did not search much about that. I just found it from my supervisor's email, and I found, just click that link and I found that okay, here is the application. One thing I searched is why they fund their scholars. Why they fund their scholars is a very good question that you can ask, because then you will write your application, your fellowship committee letter accordingly. So I found that they fund fellowship because they have 6 criteria in mind, and here are those 6 criterias, and these 6 criterias are from sustainable development goals. So I found that okay, I will align my letter to fellowship committee accordingly, and I do that. I did that, and it worked for me, and it was luck also, because it is always a luck factor. It is always a luck factor, because if suppose someone else got the same fellowship in the same area 1 year before you, then the fellowship committee tries to help or fund students from several different background, different research areas. So they may not be interested in funding two research in the same area. Some of the times they have planned that we want to fund 10 researchers in resilience only. And if you are working in resilience, you have good thesis, good proposal, everything is fine, they will fund you. So you will have to find that why they are funding, what is their agenda, and then write your application accordingly. Kindly go to the next slide. Then common mistakes to avoid. First common mistake to avoid is only collecting information, like getting all the complete information about all the fellowships that exist in UK. No, you are not supposed to do that. If you are good in research, your research proposal is good, you have basic minimum information you need to have. Not just minimum, you need to have good information, like, but it is not something that you should focus on getting the information regarding fellowship for 1 month. Like, I will sit and search about all the fellowships that exist. No. Many of the times, fellowship, your supervisor will tell you, if your research proposal is good, he will see potential in your research, he will say that okay, this is the fellowship you should apply for. And it will be, I'm telling you, there are fellowships that it is very very difficult to find searching. There are fellowships that are not very visible. There are, like, I never knew that there is a fellowship called SCDTP, but then I found that it is a very big, very common fellowship. Many people get that, right? So you should try to find, actually, don't just collect information, follow the process that I said. Give more focus on preparing your document, give more focus on understanding your research area. These are the things that are more important. But without fellowship you cannot survive. So yeah, fellowship is important, so you should have information regarding that, but it is not the main thing. Information is not the main thing, process is the main thing. Embody that researcher within you is the main thing. Go to the next point, please. Thinking that you are not good enough. Yeah, this is, oh dear. You are applying in some big UK university. You have done your bachelor and masters from Vishbharati. Vishbharati is not in top 100 ranks currently in an IRF ranking. You will feel that, okay, I will never be selected. No, don't do that. I'm telling you, there are people who got rejected from 12 universities and then got accepted at Oxford. After 12 rejections, they got accepted at Oxford with full fellowship. Or maybe they got accepted without fellowship and Oxford finally funded them. So you never know where you will get selected, and it depends, and a lot of factors actually work for a selection. It is not only your marks, it is not only your research proposal, it is not only your skill. There are many factors working together that makes you a suitable researcher. The main thing is that your application should reflect that you embody that researcher within you, and that can be done by submitting a good research proposal, by having idea about that. And it is not something that is very very difficult. No, you don't have to do a PhD for that. You don't have to already do a PhD to apply to have a good PhD application. No, you can do a very good PhD application as a master's student. Just work on the things that are most important, right? Go to the next point. Kindly go to the next point, Atif. And I really apologize to everyone one more time because this thing is not working in my laptop. I'm so sorry for that. Yeah, not keeping an eye on fellowship and application deadline. Yes, you should not collect information and only information. Just keep an eye on few things like Chevening fellowship, like ESRC fellowship, like one or two, three, four fellowships you should keep an eye on, that what is the usual deadline, when to apply. These things you should know. These things are important because it may be possible that you are crossing the deadline and you can make an application, you are ready for that, but just because you don't know the deadline, you missed it. So you should know a little bit about it. Keep maybe an Excel file where you write all the fellowship names and deadlines, fellowship name and deadline, and maybe university, which university is associated with, something like that. And then accordingly keep an eye on that. Maybe set a reminder that you have to apply, something like that. If there is a waiting time, for example, now there is no waiting time, it is the prime time to make application in UK. This is the application season in UK right now in October. You are supposed to apply now. But if suppose you are waiting for the next round, you have missed the deadline or something, then don't waste your time. Work on your CV, come up with some, improve your research proposal, do something. Maybe learn R, learn Python, learn some skill, learn econometrics, learn something, but improve your CV over time. Maybe work under someone as an RA, something like that. And giving wrong, I have already talked about this. Go to the next slide in pro tips. Go to the next slide. Yeah. First thing in this is the most important slide because these tips will help you. First important thing is you can customize your CV, give a highlight section. For example, if you are writing a lot of things in education, then some things in research experience, then some things in other part, then your CV will be read only, will be given only 2 minutes or 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes at max. So in 5 minutes, maybe I don't want to say just 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. I don't know. I should not say like this, but it is not something that your CV, someone will read your CV for 1 hour. It will never happen. And it is not that every single point they will read with all the details. So what you can do is write highlights in your CV in the beginning. Brief summary, highlights. In highlights, mention all the important points from your CV that you want to reflect, that you want to highlight. Maybe you have got some good marks, write that. You got some good marks on your thesis or master's thesis or something, write that. Master's dissertation, something like that, write that. Maybe you have worked on some good projects, write that. So the highlight section should reflect everything that you want to say. This is from a professor from Oxford. This is next advice, that is connecting PhD with your life purpose. Uh, I don't know, I mean, how to connect PhD with your life purpose, but I emailed a professor from Oxford, and he said that, yeah, if you can connect your PhD with your life purpose, this will be amazing. What do one mean by what is the meaning of connecting PhD with life purpose? Is that doing research is what I want to do in my life, and why I want to do in my life, why I want to do PhD, and how it is connected with the overall all perspective of my life. So if you can do that, it will be a very good PhD actually. Very good PhD application it will be if you can do that. And it is not for everyone to do that, but those who do that, they get selected at top places. Then help them select whether you are a suitable candidate. All this is from a professor at Cornell. So before my Southampton interview, I was very stressed, and that this was the second interview, and it was like they may have rejected me. But this professor from Cornell University, I was working. He was my colleague at Plaksha University in Mohali in India. So he said me that, Raza, you don't have to worry, you just be honest and help them select whether you are a suitable candidate. Instead of showing that you are a suitable candidate, give them all the information transparently, and say very humbly that if the selection committee thinks that I'm a suitable candidate, I will be happy to join the department and work under your supervision, and I will be happy to get the training. So help them select whether you are a suitable candidate. And next pro tip is, what is your unfair advantage? This is from the famous book Unfair Advantage. Is the idea is that every person has got some advantage. Like I have the advantage in speaking. I can give a talk for 3 hours, 4 hours. You say me to speak for next 6 hours, I will speak for the next 6 hours. So that is my unfair advantage. It is not something that I have learned. It is there within me. Like this is my type. This is my personality type. I haven't worked on it at all. It just happened. That is my type. And that is why this is unfair advantage, because this is what I'm embodied with. So if you say me to write all the time, it will be difficult for me. That is my disadvantage. But my advantage is that I can speak well. So I knew that for me to crack the PhD application, the most important part is interview. My proposal was good, but yeah, proposal is good, write up is good, no problem. But in interview, I knew that I can do some of the good things in interview. So that was like I was very much focused on that. Maybe if your unfair advantage is writing, maybe you love writing, you do journaling, you like writing things. Maybe you from right from class 2 class 3, you find that whenever you write, you find a very good flow. People appreciate your writing. If you have that unfair advantage, use that. Write a letter to fellowship committee in a way that it reflects, like you connect all the dots from your life and say that, yeah, this is my statement of purpose. Right from my childhood, I find that I have a deep thinking brain where I ask questions. And in my school itself, I found that I have some critical thinking in my head. And this is how I trained myself over a period of time. This is my life experiences, and that's why I'm interested in PhD. Maybe I'm not sure, because I don't have that unfair advantage, so I can't say much about that. But this is good. Go to the next point. And then this is the final thing, is advice from my supervisor. I talked to my supervisor, and I asked him that, do I am going to give a talk, if you have any point you want to suggest, kindly do that. And he said me, my supervisor said me that, Raza, my advice will be, first thing, it has to be a good match. Second thing, you should have thought through your PhD. So he said that if we see that a PhD applicant is someone who is answering questions in interview and using right vocabulary, not just you are using big words, but you are explaining those words when you are asked to do that. So if you are saying that I want to work in this and that area, and your potential supervisor is saying, okay, explain me your idea, and then you are blank, you are not explaining them well, then it is a bad thing. So you should be able to explain it. And then he said that, and have an idea about if your plan fails, like I wanted to collect primary data, and they asked me that if you fail to collect primary data, or maybe you find that it will take a lot of time, it is not working, then what is your plan? Then I said that okay, there are some secondary data sources as well. There are two, three secondary data sources that I can use for this analysis, and here is one. And then they asked me that, do you think you can use the secondary data for this purpose? And I said, yeah, I know, because they have this variables in their data set, they have this variable in their data set, so this will work. I'm not sure because I haven't done that analysis, but looking at the data set, I think that yeah, this is something I can approach. So this is how you should actually give answers in interview. That this is advice from my supervisor, that if you are good enough in explaining the things that you are explaining, that you will do for the next 4 years, then professors find that it is a good match. You need not be I'm saying this for everyone who is in masters right now. You need not be a good researcher when you are applying. You need to be a potential good PhD student when you are applying, and they are smart enough to know that if you are a potential candidate, good potential PhD student or not. And if you get selected, some of the times it may happen that in interview you were not yourself. So don't think that you don't embody it within you. It may be possible that you are getting rejected at a place, and then somewhere else you are getting accepted, and at a better place you are getting accepted. So, and go to the last point. And the last thing is grit. That is the most important thing, is grit. And it is not only in your PhD application, it is like in academia. You have to be ready to face frustrations, because even in your PhD things will not work. You will not know the skills, you will be frustrated, badly frustrated. There will be dead end. You will feel like, okay, I worked for this first chapter for the last 6 months, and my model is just collapsed. I don't think I can do the model. Someone in the seminar asked me the question that there is a problem of reverse causality that I'm not addressing, and I never thought about it. Now I'm gone. This chapter is, I have to think something else for first chapter. But if there is dead end, wait, step back, think around it. You will find that okay, there is some solution. Most of the times, 90%, 99% of the times, there is some solution, but you have to wait for that. You have to trial and error, do a lot of things. So that's and even after completing your PhD, even if you are a faculty, you will get rejections from journals. So it is a great in academia that you have to develop. So, and the main question is, are you willing to sprint when the distance is unknown? That is from the famous coach who said to his players that the distance is unknown, meaning that you never know when you will be selected, and you will have to work till you get selected. Yeah. That's all from my side. Now I'm open to question and answer, and I'm really sorry because the slide was not working, and that really impacted my the way I speak. That impacted everything. It all got messed up, but I'm really happy that 40 people are still there in the talk.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you
you
so
for
much,
being
Sadan bhai.
here. Yeah.
I also apologize sincerely. There were some issues with at my end, power cut,
No,
slow
that's my
Wi-Fi.
problem. That's not your problem. That's my problem because I did not check it actually. Yesterday it was working, but I did not check it will if it will work with recording. I don't know. I checked it yesterday. It was working, but somehow Chrome is saying that you need to do this, you need to do that. So I'm sorry
Yeah,
for
so
that. Yeah,
unfortunately, technical glitches happen. So
yeah.
that's the whole point of
But
having a
that's on me.
PhD
That's
model.
not on me. That's completely on me. That's my mistake because I did not check it actually. That's my mistake. Yeah.
Absolutely fine.
If you
So
have any question, you can ask now. I'm ready
Okay,
to answer.
Assalamu alaikum. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for the information, and that was, I mean, like I cannot explain. Like these informations could have taken like lots of days to uh, compile and all. But my question is, like, if I want to approach a professor, so should I go with just a mail, or like I'll have to attach a statement of purpose with that?
No, you should. Some people say that you should not attach anything in first email. Sometimes people say that you should attach CV. I suggest personally you should attach CV. You should attach CV. That is my idea. This is one. If you don't even have CV, you must be having CV. If you don't want to attach CV, then you can directly just email. But my idea is that if you are a good match, then what you are attaching is not the main thing. Suppose you are really trained in the area in which your potential supervisor works, and you are attaching CV, a statement of purpose, research proposal, everything. Then if you work in that area, you are trained enough, you are good enough, it will work for you. But I don't suggest people to attach research proposal. It is not a good thing to do in the first place, because it may be possible that your supervisor is not having any vacant position under them. So why bombarding them with so many files? Just attach your CV and say, wait for the reply. Maybe if they reply, I got a reply from a professor that I'm retiring next year, I'm sorry, I cannot take you. So there is no point attaching all the document in that email, right? Just attach your CV. That is my suggestion.
Bhai, I have one or two questions. Uh,
Yes.
One of the question is very basic type. Is applying in masters is more easier than applying in PhD?
Uh, I never applied for masters, so I'm not suitable to answer that, to be honest. But I will give you an answer for it. Applying in masters is difficult. Why so? It is a relative answer. First thing is, think from this perspective that in masters there are very few fellowship. First thing. Why so? Because students who do masters, they do it paying the money for first year, and then they apply for PhD after their masters, and university actually subsidize PhD scholars or fund PhD scholars many a times from the money that they are getting from masters program. So not very few PhD programs are in masters, but if you are masters taught program, I'm talking about. If you are talking about masters in research, MRes, then there are some of the programs MRes that is funded, like University of Exeter. It is a funded masters MRes. Some other universities have funded MRes, and there are some external fellowships also which funds your masters MRes. But and very few fellowships that fund your master's taught program. Most of them you will have to pay your fees. So when you are paying your fees, it is not difficult in that way. You can apply, but your life will be difficult because you will have to work and it will be frustrating many a time. So my suggestion is to secure a fellowship and then come.
And my next question is like,
The
if you're
another
Okay, so
Yes, please.
just again the housekeeping work. Please raise your hand, and then unless I call you, please don't. Sarin, you can get your follow-up question now.
So another question is that we are enrolled in 4-year undergraduate program. So we are also supposed to do PhD if we want to do. The program says that. So can we apply in PhD program after doing our 4-year undergraduate program, or we have to do masters also for that?
Depends on your training. If 4 years undergraduate is really training you for your PhD and you can do that, you should apply for PhD. They will ask you questions, interview you. If you are good enough writing good research proposal, and there are students who are writing good research proposal after their undergrad from India. So if you are doing that, okay, main thing is training. If you have that within you, no problem. You should apply for PhD. Anyway, you will have to do MRes. You will have to do a coursework which they call MRes. So in coursework, that coursework is basically masters only. Most of the universities teach masters coursework, so you will have to do that, no problem. But apply for PhD. But that depends on whether you have that within you. If you are good enough, you should. I was not good enough. I had to do my masters and then MPhil, and then I found a little bit confidence. So it is like that. And I'm not saying it in any other sense. I'm honestly saying this, that I was really not having the confidence and I don't have any connection. I did not know anyone. I don't have GRE. I was not topper of my university. So I'm just like a normal student who is a student of economics and who is trying to do research in the discipline.
So then, like the PhD is like a long-term commitment. So we also want to test it whether we are actually in, like very serious in research, interested in research. Apart from whether we are good fit, we also want to test whether we are like actually interested in research. And masters typically are more rigorous than an undergrad, and most of the places in masters at least involve some research work. So, just pursuing masters, you also test yourself. or test your interest in academia. Uh,
This is very
Where you
important.
can,
Even
yeah,
3 days ago, I was thinking that am I a right person to do PhD? You will always have that question within with you. I mean, it is never solved completely. It is never solved completely. Unless and until you complete your PhD, it will never be solved. So in most of the cases, so even if I'm funded, sometimes you feel that are you a suitable PhD student? Why so? Because maybe like this is always a question like that is there in University of Southampton. We have courses to counter that. So in my orientation, I was told that you will think there will be an imposter syndrome and you will think that you are not as suitable for your PhD. It is very common. It is not something that is I'm speaking like it is rare. No, it is very common. Many people feel even in their final year of PhD, they feel that they won't be able to complete it. It is a very common thing. But now the thing is, let me speak a little bit about it. The thing is that whenever you get this type of question, how to come out of it is by facts. So 3 days ago, when I was thinking that whether I will be able to do it or not, is it a right choice? Maybe it will be so difficult that I will be losing all my hair because of mental health, something like that. Then I thought that no, I have completed my master's and then MPhil. I have done a research paper as well, and that is a draft paper, but still I submitted it at a good place. I think when I'm reading journal articles, I'm understanding some of the most of the papers and research methodology. I have the capacity to learn it. You don't need to like if you sit and read if you sit in a presentation of mechanism design at Plaksha. Sat in a presentation of mechanism design that was from a PhD scholar in University of Pennsylvania. I could not understand a single line because this is not the area where I work. In Southampton,
yeah,
there is a student who worked undergrad, who did undergrad and masters from Southampton only, and now doing PhD, and he was unable to understand a single word of a mechanism design presentation. No, it is not something in which we work. You can never know the whole discipline. So then you will have to say yourself that no, I have to work only in a particular area. In that area, I have enough knowledge and I'm learning. And over a period of time, you will get to know your own position in academia as well, that at what level you will be able to contribute to academia. So then I had to write everything and solve my question. So now I think that I don't face a problem that I will fail or I will not be able to do PhD. No, I will be able to do it as of now. Then again, if the crisis comes, I will have to sit down and think everything based on the data that I have. Now I have the data. I faced that in MPhil. I completed my MPhil. So I have the data, past experience, using which I can make myself clear that what I can do and what I cannot do. Right?
yes.
Any other
That's
question?
like quite a comprehensive answer, Siddhan bhai. So Umaira Javed, you can go next, and then Mohammed Ali Reza.
Anything?
So
Any other question?
Umaira,
Okay, there are
Yeah.
questions in the chat box.
Yeah, my question was like during narrowing down the specification which fits your supervisor. So, if someone, for instance, if someone is going for agriculture economics, so should I be more specific on those areas, like that particular person have work done or something like that?
Thank you for asking this question. Actually, can you please reframe it again?
Yeah, I was asking during narrowing down
Okay.
about a professor, whether you are best fit or not based
Okay.
on
I get
his
it.
work. Yeah. So should I be more specific towards his journals while making like literature review or research proposal or something like that, or choosing a topic? This is my question.
Okay. First thing is that I want to say is that I will share the PPT. I will share the PPT because it is important. PPT was not working as well, and I requested to record also, but I don't think this mess up session can be put on YouTube because it was a complete mess up. But still, I think that I will share the PPT with everyone. Answering to your question, brother, this is a very important question. Now it depends actually on your area of research and interest. Suppose you don't have well formed area of research, then you can think of kind of reading the journal articles in an area in which you are targeting some of the professors. But if you are fixing an area, like my area is a skill mismatch. Now your area is agricultural economics. Within agricultural economics, you are reading articles. First thing should be whether it is help with whether it is interesting enough for you. Maybe someone is doing amazing work in an area, but you are not curious enough to solve those research questions. So if even, let me tell you, you want to work in agricultural economics, good. You want to work in an area, but if you are manipulating your own preference in a way to match it, you will have to do the research for the next 4 years. How will you survive? So it has to be something that you're building. Like when a mother cares about the child, she does not think about herself. Why so? Because of the love. So it has to come from the connection that you have with the topic, because at the end you will have to fight and fight and fight. Things will not work, you will have to make it work. So for that you need to be curious enough to solve those research questions. Getting my point, what I'm trying to say? So if it is not coming from your within, then, and it is a very difficult thing to know that whether it is coming from your within, because it is an experience thing. You will have to work and then experience it. So there has to be a balance which you will have to find. We have some questions from chat box, but there are people raising their hands. So
Yes, yes.
did I answer your question, Muhammad Ali Reza?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. Like that was very much
So
Now
Mahaver, you
informative.
can
Umaira,
go next.
Umaira Javed can ask, and then Mahvar Ali. Umaira Javed, are you there? Do you still have a question?
I think she has raised mistakenly.
Yeah,
Okay, no
so
problem. So
Mahaver, you can
Mahvar
go.
Ali, do you have a question?
Yes, please. Actually, I'm sister of Navarali. I'm asking for
Okay,
his account history. I
okay.
have a question that it cannot be. It happens to me many a times that whenever I take a decision that, like when you choose a path that I have to take this career path, I never stick to it, and you waste a lot of time switching between the paths. So, how to be firm on a decision and that I have made the correct choice? So, what is your advice on that?
My advice is that it is always a search and match. So there are, in economics we call it experience good. Education is an experience good. By experience good, we mean that we cannot actually know in hand without reading that whether we are liking it or not. You have to read. Maybe suppose I'm interested in micro theory, and micro theory can be taught in five, six methods, by five, six ways, and I'm attending the classes. After attending the classes, I'm finding that no, it is not interesting. So I will have to change my approach. But if it is happening again and again that you are finding things that are difficult, and then you are finding that no, it is, you are finding things in which you are interested, and then you are finding that no, it is difficult. If it is happening again and again, then you should try to find out your own pattern, that why this is happening, what is your preference, what is it that you want. And another thing I want to mention in it is that anything that you learn in the first stage, there is beginner's luck where you feel that you can do it. And then you will fall in a crust where it feels like you will never be able to do it. It happened in my MPhil. I thought that I will have to quit economics. So it will happen, but you will have to survive that crest to kind of again go towards elevation in your discipline. So if you are finding problem in and you are switching again and again, my suggestion is sit with yourself and try to understand your own preferences. And if you are unable to find out, then try to make a list of things that you want to try and for how long you want to try it. Suppose I want to try agricultural economics, for how long I should try it to find out whether this is my preference or not. Maybe I will read articles in it for a month. Is it worth it for me to try it for a month? Something like that. Let me kind of say something from my personal experience. I have decided first chapter idea, but then I discussed with my supervisor that I should take a week gap, and in 1 week I will try to find if there is another interesting idea that should be better for my first chapter. So understanding my perspective, my own pattern, I know that after 1 week, I will either get a new idea or I will stick to my previous idea. So I can waste only 1 week for that, not more than that. Then I will focus on the idea which I have thought. So if you want to switch back between ideas, make a plan, know yourself, and then based on that plan work. Because when you have plan, you will be knowing what you are doing and how much hour you are wasting or not. Any other question? So
Thank you,
is
sir.
someone, yeah. Did I answer your question, Mahvar Ali?
Yes, yes. It was
Thank you.
very comprehensive answer.
Thank you. Any other question? Now, I think we should read chat box now. So first question in chat box is by Muhammad Sahil. Hello, one and all present here. What is going on, sir? I don't know what is going on. I'm answering questions. Monis Nabi, working with an NGO where you have to teach kids of slums, will you that count as volunteer work? Good. Okay. Monis Ali, are you still there in the talk? Otherwise, there will not be any point answering the. Okay, you're here. Good. So there are, let me be very clear about it. It may not, maybe it may not sound very good, but there are very good things when we do in our lives. Very, very good things. Like you help people. This is, I have all the respect for you for your work. But if you have to select someone who you are a professor somewhere, you have to select someone who is doing research. So if your research area is related to slum children, and many people are doing research on slum kids, if your research area is related to that, it will be a very, very good and positive point because you have experience of the field. And I'm sorry using the experience of the field word, because someone who is living in a slum, it is a bad thing to say in this tone. People are facing a lot of problems in their life, but you as a researcher, the thing is that as a professor, the thing that I want in my student is that the area in which he is working, if he is having experience in that area, it is a good thing. So one thing that your experience can reflect is you are a very good human being, or you are someone who tries to work in for the common masses. This is a good thing. But if your area is not related to slum, then it will not be the major decision making thing for the professor. The decision making part will be coming from your what topic you are doing your research in. So if your research is related to slum, it is a very, very good thing. And there are many people working on slums. There are many papers, books written on slum and lives of slums, and economics people are also doing working on that. Even in India, I know people, professors from Oxford and other universities. I don't know them personally, to be honest, but I know that there are professors from Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard. They come to slums in India, they collect data, they go back, no one knows. So there are people working, and there are many serious scholars working on slum. Dharami slum in Mumbai, slums in Delhi. I know people personally also who are working in slum back in India. There was a research scholar who stayed in slum for 2 months to find out to play with slum kids and try to understand. He's working in psychology. So there are very, very good people working in slum area, slum life actually. So if you are interested, it's a good thing. I have all the respect for you that you have chosen this topic. And now next question is Vashwati Rudrapal. How important are software skill in this respect? What are the most demanded ones that are observed during the application process? No, my idea is what I'm supposed to do for the next 4 years. I'm supposed to do research for the next 4 years on the topic which I proposed, or maybe change my topic, but I have to do research. In that research, what are the softwares I will be using? Suppose you are very good in Stata. Will this be a good thing? Yes, this will be a good thing in your paper. Maybe you know R, you know Python, you know MATLAB. Some of the times there are softwares without which you cannot even do your research. So in micro theory, MATLAB or some of the softwares are so important that you have to learn and have a very good idea about those softwares. In those cases, this is a crucial part. And this is the basic minimum. This is a minimum condition, not sufficient condition. So if you know Stata or Python, this is the minimum condition that you fulfill. But are you ready for that research? Are you able to solve those research questions? Do you have that within you? You will have to actually address those things in your PhD interview. Focus on those things rather than saying that you know the softwares. Okay, you know the softwares, but I can hire a research assistant who is very good in software, and I can pay them to work for me if I don't know the software, right? So software is important, but it is not something that is the main part, that is the main focus, right? I hope I have answered your question. But in some cases, it may be the main focus or one of the main focuses. If your research area is such that requires software, like I want to work in economic geography where I have to use satellite data and I'm not trained in it at all, then it is a bad idea. So I should be trained in handling the software using which I can actually analyze satellite data, right?
And
So this
increasingly,
is
like
for
the knowledge of data and R and like some GIS. is becoming the minimum, least
Yeah.
expected.
It is minimum, not sufficient. Then, Umar Safi, can you get fully funded scholarship in UK for masters? That is the standard question you should ask ChatGPT. They will give you all the information. But my
Yeah.
yet there are some of the fellowships that are available for UK for masters, but I did not apply for masters, so I should not answer something in which I don't have expertise in. But yes, there are some of the fellowships. What do you mean by masters? It is masters in research or taught masters. If it is masters in research, then there are some. But if it is taught masters, then I don't think it is very few. I think. Then there is, can we dive in masters for a bit? Sorry, I know it's not on the agenda. Yes, we can if it is masters in research. So MRes, we can talk a little bit more about. So if in case of MRes that I didn't talk in the whole discussion is in MRes some of the times like you are applying at the University of Exeter. You write an email, the professor will say, we have a standard MRes program which every PhD scholar has to do. So instead of applying to professors, you should directly apply for the MRes program. So supervisor, you don't have to contact supervisor, you just apply for the MRes. Getting what I'm trying to say? So that is MRes. So these are the things you need to be careful about. The next question is, do the UK universities accept people with a gap year of 1 or 2? It depends on what you are doing in gap and what how that gap is helping you to be a good researcher. If you are teaching in that gap, then it is good, and if that teaching is actually influencing your research interest, good. If you just have gap, you haven't done anything in those years, then you will have to say that what you were doing and how that helped you to find out your own passion in research, or your own path that you want to do research. So you have to connect that gap with your future decisions. Thank you very much for such an insightful session. Thank you for being here. How important are the grades for PhD selection? Yes, this is a very good question. So grades are important or not? First thing first, grade is minimum, not sufficient. Second thing, grade at higher stages are important. Like if you have very good MPhil grade, your dissertation got 9 out of 10, your dissertation got 7.5 out of 10, and it is also comparative. There are universities in which you cannot get more than 7 in your dissertation. No problem. The universities know it. They know it very well. So it is not that they don't know it. They know it. They know it very well. So if you have that good grades throughout your student life, good, no problem. If you have good grades in masters at maybe a special courses in econometrics, you have amazing grades and your research area is interested to that, no problem. Even if you have a little bit bad grade, it will work. So this is that. Then what is the next question? Yeah, there are mainly uni-based scholarships. Uh, I don't know. Okay, then thank you very much for such an. Okay, will you share the PPT? Yes, I will. Okay, Labani Roy Chakrabarti, are you still there?
I guess she's
All
gone.
the best for your future endeavors in economics. Thanks a lot. I wish Bharti is my home. So thanks a lot for this message. Then there is good afternoon, Sadan sir. I'm just Raza, I'm not sir. I really appreciate the insights you have shared. Would it be possible to have your email address? Yes, it will be. I'll share my email address. I can reach out to you for the questions. Thank you. You can follow me on LinkedIn. Even in on my LinkedIn, I have 5-6 posts about PhD position, like how to apply for PhD or something like that. PhD journey. So you can follow LinkedIn, message me on LinkedIn, or you can email me, or you can even WhatsApp me. I always give time to all my juniors, and I have always time for that. Yes, can I study some work of Vijit Banerjee and do some work on that? That is your research interest. No one can.
Yeah.
I can say that you should buy orange T-shirt or green T-shirt or red T-shirt. That should be your decision. You should buy a T-shirt, the color of the T-shirt that you like. Just like that, you should do research in the topic that you like. Pro analysis. Since we read a lot of things right now from undergrad till the time of application for PhD, how can we define clearly our research area of interest? How to clearly articulate the research goal and objectives, like you are working on horizontal mismatch in engineering education in India, how you have defined it as your PhD topic, how you have defined, okay, how is it your approach to that, okay? I will answer this. This is a big question. So, how do you actually think that you are going to specialize in that area? So when you are reading all the papers, you get interested in multiple areas, but there is a way to do that. And as I said, you will have to read and then find out. So it is experience. Experience good meaning without knowing it, you will not be able to say that whether it is good or not. For example, almost all of you in here, 90% of you, I can guarantee you don't want to do your PhD in game theory. How many of you
Yeah.
want to do your PhD in game theory? You know, you don't. Why so? Because the focus is not game theory, right? Focus is not game theory in India. Most of the you don't want to do mechanism design. I know.
Except for
I
ISI people.
guarantee that no one is here who want, maybe 99%. Maybe there is one
Yeah.
person. I should not guarantee 100%. But just like that, many of you will be interested in development economics topics. Many of you, some of you will be interested in health economics. So you know some of your areas, like broad areas, and then you have to narrow it down. There can be a separate talk on what are the things to think around when narrowing down. But as of now, I will say what I thought. It is not very organic what I thought, but sometimes, like when I worked in economics of smoking behavior, I thought no one is working in that area. This was one reason. Second was it is very interesting. It is matching, but I can match in other areas as well. But since this no one is working and this is interesting, everyone I'm saying they're saying, oh, they're doing economics of smoking. What is that? So this was it can be, but that is why I never wanted to do my PhD in economics of smoking. Though I'm right now I'm induced to write one chapter in smoking. Maybe I'm not sure, but yeah, there can be many reasons. But the one thing that has to be there in all the cases is that you want to work in that area. You are interested. That research question, if you will face problem, you will be able to handle. That research question is something that excites you. This has to be there at some level, at some capacity, but it has to be there because in you will have to fight back in your PhD many a times. If you have the reason to fight back, good. If you don't have the reason, maybe you're working in an area to get famous, then you don't that getting famous is not that type of a reason for which you should work 10 hours a day maybe in before presentations, then it won't work for you. How should I demonstrate my skills? Let's say if I'm good with this data, how should I prove it? Will academic record be enough, or would I be able to do a project related to it? Okay. Sometimes what happens is that this is specifically for research assistantship, and I did not talk about it in my talk, is how to make your CV good. So try to do research assistantship under someone. If you are applying for research assistantship, in there they even ask you to share your data file.
Yeah.
That
Some
you can
sample
do.
codes are required.
Yeah, but how you can do that is in my interview, like I asked my supervisor that what software you use. You use Stata or you use R? He said, I use Stata. I also use Stata. I have done my MPhil using Stata. Just that, not more than that. Because if I'm saying that I've done my MPhil using a Stata, and in academia not many people are like that big a liar ki I haven't used a Stata in my thesis and I will say that I'm using. So they rely on you. But if you are saying that you know a Stata, yes, and that is not something for which they will ask that okay, show me this code. Sometimes they say you, if you are working under for RA they will surely ask you that solve these problems and send me. So I got a letter from Stanford. They, for a lab I applied to work as an RA. He replied me that here are the codes, here are the problems. You solve it and send us in the next 6 hours. I worked for 10 hours. I couldn't do the first problem because it was too difficult for me because it was time actually time data. So if I'm writing 10.am, so how you will handle time data? I did not know back then. Now I know it, but back then I didn't know it, so I couldn't solve it. I'm not selected. OS Khadir, thank you for this session. I just want to know, can I take recommendation letters from professors who have not taught me? Yes, you can, but why he is recommending you?
Yeah.
He has not taught you, but you have done research under him. There has to be something. Maybe you have done a paper with him, then he will say that he's my co-author, and I really like throughout the journey I found that he worked very hard, he's very sincere, something like that. So there has to be something that he is saying. It cannot be like he's my niece, he's my
Yeah.
nephew, and I want my nephew to be there. No, you cannot write it. It has to be, there has to be some reason why the person is recommending you, right? Any other question?
And what will he write? Like, what will a professor, he or she will
Yeah.
write? I mean, most of these professors, they write about how you did in exams, assignments, uh, the interaction with you in the class or after the class, and the project that you have worked on, things like that. So if you have not worked or taught by a professor, then there's nothing for you to write. So then, right, in the interest of time, we'll have to pause the
Yeah,
Q&A session here, and then
yeah,
uh, we will definitely have in the coming future, we'll have some very specialized sessions, maybe on the let's say writing SOP or finding a research area. Sorry, we will have to just conclude the session with vote of thanks, and I request Kulsum to offer vote of thanks on the behalf of AMU Economics Students Club.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. I am Kulsum Fatima, currently in my third year of graduation and heads of graphic designing team. I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Mr. Sadain Raza Bhai for sharing his invaluable insights and truly expertise on pursuing a PhD in the United Kingdom. Your session was not incredibly informative but also truly amazing, sir. Your personal experiences and advices have really guided us in our academic journeys. A special thanks to Atif Bhai for organizing this event. Your coordination made everything run smoothly and contributed significantly to its success. A special thanks to all the members who have joined this event. Once again, thank you so much for your contributions. We wish you all the best in your PhD journey, sir. Thank you so much.
thanks, sir.
Thank you, Sadan bhai. Thank you everyone for coming.
Thanks, sir.
We have to end the meeting.
Thank you, bhai. Thank you.